Good afternoon, Madam Chair. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year since we haven't met in quite a while. It's good to have you all in the meeting today. We'll start with item 2, which is election of officers for Technical Advisory Committee Chair and Vice Chair, and we had a subcommittee set for that, so I will pass it over to Charlie Watts.
Thank you, Emily. So the TAC nominating committee met on February 4th, and after a short discussion of the potential candidates, the nominating committee unanimously agreed to recommend the reappointment of Emily Barone as chair and Richard Mendoza as vice chair. And that's our recommendation.
Thank you, Charlie. Are there any other nominations for chair or vice chair? Okay. If not, I will take a motion.
So moved.
Okay. And a second,
Second.
please. Perfect. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you so much. We'll move to item 3, which is approval of the October 27th meeting summary. If there are no questions, I will take a motion on this item.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Bob. And a second.
Second.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Minutes pass. We'll move to the information section of our agenda, and we'll start with item 4, which is discussion on the 2026 federal performance measure targets, and Rev is going to present that for us.
All right, thank you, Chair. This is an item that we have to do every year. That's because in 2011 or 2012, Congress passed legislation that mandated that state DOTs, MPOs, and transit authorities use what's known as the Transportation Performance Management System, which is a process designed to monitor our investment and policy decisions to see if whether they achieve national performance goals. The way CAMPO utilizes the TPM process is through a variety of actions, including performance-based project selection criteria, which I'm sure this body is very familiar with given the last few months. We monitor the progress and impact of our investments, and then we show them in our planning products, including the TIP, the plan, and our studies. And another thing we do is we adopt regional targets, which is the purpose of today's item. On the left, the columns that you see there, is several goal areas that are established by Congress. In the right, in the gray, are duties of the Federal Highway Administration, the Federal Transit Administration, and then in the green or the teal is what is up to the DOT, the MPO, and the transit authorities to not only identify targets, but then identify plans and programs to meet those targets. And in this slide here, this shows what those targets are. There are 25 total metrics over 5 columns. In the second column for each category, what you see is the targets. Outside of the parentheses are this year's targets, and inside of the parentheses were last year's targets. I believe that is the last slide of my presentation. For timeline, we will take this to the board in April for information. We'll come back in that same month to TAC for recommendation, and then we'll ask for approval at the May policy board meeting. That's my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Narev. Any questions? Okay. Not seeing any hands. We'll move to item 5, discussion on construction partnership program. Back to you, Narev.
Thank you. That is also my item. This here is to talk about, in about January 2023, there was a growing realization amongst our agency leaders throughout the region that we had many significant construction projects that were going to come online around the same time, representing over $20 billion in investment infrastructure. And the construction partnership program was devised between regional partners to identify ways to prioritize public safety, reduce impacts on the community, and how we can maintain mobility and accessibility while all these unprecedented projects were happening at the same time, and figuring out a way to keep the public informed of which construction projects were happening when and the best ways to navigate through their travel. There's a number of components that came through the construction partnership program. The three that you see here, the construction data platform, the work zone management tool, and the CTX Go mobility app, are all designed not just for the traveling public, but for regional agencies as well, is to identify ongoing construction projects that are happening at the same time, and maybe do some coordination or anticipation of what types of work zone activities are happening at the same time to avoid basically putting the traveling public through more than one construction project at the same time on the same corridor. A lot of that can be monitored through the CTX Go mobility app, which is available to download right now. There is also a mirroring website that's available online. There's various features that we talked about of how to integrate into the CTX Go mobility app. Several of them, those that are crossed out on this screen, are already done. You can save your preferences for the type of trip that you're taking, from when and to where. You can create an account. You can plan your trip. You can look at where current incidents are occurring. Things that are planned are those that are not been crossed out. And a lot of them include things that relate to transportation demand management. CAMPO and the city and TxDOT are working very closely together to identify ways that travelers can identify things like a carpool partner, a vanpool partner, being able to do things like purchase a ticket for Uber or Lyft or Cap Metro through the app, and even identifying things like where downtown parking spaces are available. As more capabilities show up, then they'll probably also be added to the priority list, but this is kind of where we're at right now. And that is my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any questions? No? Okay, rolling right through it. We're going to skip item 6 as someone was unable to attend today, and we'll get that rescheduled and move to item 7, which is an update on interchange bottleneck studies. And Will is taking this one.
Thank you, Emily. Next slide, please. So in August of last year, we introduced the interchange bottleneck study to the TAC. At that point in time, we reviewed what we had done to that point, which was we had established project goals and we had performed a prioritization analysis for the region, looking at all freeway to freeway interchanges, freeway to principal arterial and principal arterial intersections, to prioritize a list of just a couple locations to move forward into preliminary concept development. So today we're going to quickly revisit what we talked about in August and then move forward into the real fun part of our study, which was identifying near-term and long-term improvements at those 4 prioritized locations. So again, we're going to cover project goals and the bottleneck locations. That's what we covered in August. And then what we've done since then, the study recommendations and next steps. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Matt Best with HDR, one of our consultants on the project. Matt?
Thanks, Will. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I think, Will, you covered which intersections are the high contributors to congestion and crashes, want to prioritize them, and then facilitate project readiness. Next slide. And so, Will, you covered, we had set our methodology. We had 72 total study interchanges and intersections. We did exclude I-35 between SH-45 North and Southeast, exclusive due to the ongoing CapEx North, Central, and South projects, since those are already undergoing improvements currently or in the very near future. Next slide. So through our GIS model, prioritization model, and through discussions with stakeholders, which I'll get into a little more detail in a second, we prioritized all 72 intersections and came out with, we identified 4 interchanges to carry forward to concept development at a planning level. SH45, SH71 in Riverside in Austin. We had 2 in San Marcos, I-35 in Wonderworld, and I-35 and State Highway 80. And then finally, Mopac and Parmer, the Diamond in Northwest Austin, based on criteria such as fatal crashes, serious injury crashes, and projected future travel demand at those interchanges. Next slide, please. So we engaged the stakeholders throughout the process, TxDOT and city agencies. We first conducted a pre-prioritization questionnaire, which asked for feedback on bottleneck locations. We asked agency experience in implementing innovative intersections, as well as coordinating with stakeholders in the community. We also had post-prioritization meetings with TxDOT, City of Austin, and City of San Marcos to gain feedback on needs, as well as our preliminary recommendations, which I'll get to in a second. Next slide. I'll start with State Highway 71 in Riverside. So in the near term, the needs that we identified were to address long pedestrian crossing distances, poor pedestrian visibility in certain locations, a lack of bicycle accommodations across the interchange along Riverside, and high vehicle speeds on the frontage roads. Next slide, please. So this is a concept of our near-term improvements, and which I'll go through. I'll start at the top in the middle. First recommendations to add rumble strips on the westbound exit ramp to Riverside to alert drivers to the change in context. Further downstream, adding a westbound smart right turn treatment. A smart right turn is a channelizing right turn treatment that has a tighter radius than a typical channelized right turn to slow vehicles down through that turn, as well as to increase their cone of visibility, looking for conflicting pedestrians, as well as through conflicting through movements coming from the left. Construct shared use paths at the interchange to facilitate bicycle and pedestrian movements along Riverside. Adding illumination along eastbound 71 frontage road, where there currently is a lack of illumination. There's numerous destinations on the south side, Waffle House, Starbucks. There's also a transit stop on the perpendicular cross street just to the east of Riverside. And then finally, in the southeast corner of the intersection, we're recommending to extend the curb south on the north side to decrease that pedestrian crossing distance, and to add a northbound smart right turn treatment. Next slide, please. So moving down to San Marcos at the I-35 and Wonderworld Diamond interchange. In the near term, we want to address long frontage road queues and delay, something that both our traffic analysis as well as City of San Marcos feedback gave us on some issues there. We also have multiple uncontrolled access points along Wonderworld Drive to the east of I-35, where we, based on our historical crash analysis, we saw a number of serious crashes, so we want to address that. In the long term, we're forecasting significant traffic growth, and our traffic analysis showed significant future forecasted interchange delays. So we want to address that, as well as accommodate TxDOT's future plans for I-35 in San Marcos. Next slide, please. So in the near term, our recommendations all start in the top left to construct a southbound smart right turn bay. Currently, that's a shared through and right turn movement. That was something that City of Austin or City of San Marcos pointed out, in addition to some feedback from our traffic analysis. We want to implement access management, so right in, right out treatments, as well as a left turn only treatment into the apartment complex on the north side of Wonderworld Drive, just east of 35. And then finally, construct a northbound left turn bay on the frontage roads. Currently, it's a shared U-turn and left turn movement. Want to separate those movements to decrease delays and reduce the instances of queue lanes blocking access to those turn bays. Next slide, please. And then the long term recommendation is to widen the Diamond Interchange, the frontage road approaches, as well as provide dual eastbound and westbound left turn bays. This is to be in keeping with TxDOT's their preliminary kind of longer term plans for the interchange and for the I-35 corridor. Next slide, please. We'll go a couple of interchanges to the north at I-35 and State Highway 80, the displaced left turn interchange. So in the near term, we want to address what we've seen is some occasional driver confusion about those displaced left turn movements, some insufficient capacity at some spot locations there, as well as a number of some serious crashes to the east along SH80 due to numerous access points east of I-35. And then in the long term, we want to address the overall interchange operations. The displaced left turn treatments were intended to be sort of an interim measure. We also want to integrate with any sort of plans, future plans for State Highway 80. Next slide, please. All right, so here are our near-term improvements. I'll start in the top left. Our first is to install supplemental guide signage to make sure drivers are aware of the sort of sooner than expected left turn bays due to the displaced left turns. That signage already exists on the westbound side, but we would like additional on the eastbound side. The left turn crossover angle, we would like to update to change the angle of entrance such that it kind of provides a smoother transition and more clear transition for drivers turning left, transitioning from the right side of the road to the left side of the road. On the southbound frontage road, where currently it transitions from a 4-lane down to a 3 down to a 2-lane section in a pretty short distance with the relocated southbound exit ramp, we have some more distance to be able to, so we can increase the merge distance for that 4 to 3 to 2 transition. Moving to the east side of the interchange, we're recommended to construct a median between the westbound through and westbound left turn lanes to restrict driveway access crossing that westbound through, trying to get into that westbound left turn lane. We also want to update the left turn crossover angle, similar to what we did on the eastbound side to the westbound side, again, to provide a more natural transition for left turns going from the right side of the road to the left side of the road. Bug Lane, which currently is open just kind of at the intersection, the crossover intersection. There's a lot of conflict points in that area. There's other access points to those same parcels that to which Bug Lane provides access. So we're recommending to close Bug Lane to reduce those conflict points. Also to construct dual northbound right turns, which will be signalized to increase capacity there. And finally, we saw a number of serious injury crashes at the signal to the east at the private driveway to the big shopping mall on the right side of the screen. So we're proposing to convert that to protected only to improve safety. Next slide, please. And then the long term to revert back to a traditional diamond, but with more capacity, widening SH80 to 6 lanes, as well as providing additional turn bay capacity on the frontage roads. Next slide, please. And finally, at Mopac and Parmer, in the near term, we want to address both pedestrian and bicycle safety, as well as operations on the northbound frontage road, which is a very heavy approach during the PM peak period. In the long term, we want to accommodate forecasted traffic growth, especially with plans for the Parmer Lane corridor as a whole to the east and the west, as well as address the overall interchange delay that we forecasted with our traffic analysis, especially the northbound to westbound movement, which is quite heavy. Next slide, please. So our near-term improvements are shown here. I'll start on the top left. Currently, there's a eastbound bicycle lane shared with vehicular traffic. There's conflicts between the eastbound through, eastbound right turns, and bicycles. So in coordination with the city of Austin, we're proposing to relocate bicycle traffic to an SUP, shared use path. And also we want to add a pedestrian signal where that eastbound right turn lane intersects with the pedestrian crossing. It would be a signal that rests in green except when a pedestrian actuates the signal, and at which point the pedestrian would cross at a protected movement. due to the high speeds on all approaches, as well as some vertical curvature, we want to convert the existing span wire to mast arms, as well as add supplemental signal heads to improve safety. Going to the east side, we want to add a triple left turn movement, which will execute using just restriping. For again, that's a very heavy movement. The northbound right turn, again, another smart right turn treatment, and eliminating the downstream free flow operations on Parmer to eliminate the weaving activity and turbulence that causes between Parmer, between MOPAC and the signal to the east. And finally, we saw through our historical traffic crash analysis at least one serious injury crash at Tominette Trail. So we're recommending to implement a right in, right out, and left in only to improve safety. Next slide, please. And then the long term, widen the diamond intersection, diamond interchange, construct northbound and southbound turnarounds, and a northbound to westbound direct connector, again, to accommodate the heavy forecasted traffic demand there. Next slide, please. So our next steps, develop preliminary cost estimates, finalize the recommendations, and submit a final report in the next 5 or so weeks. If there's time, I'll take any questions. Otherwise, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Matt and Will. Any questions on this item? Okay, not seeing any hands. We'll move to item 8, discussion on breaker lane. Oh,
Just a quick
I'm sorry,
question.
Bob. Yep, go ahead.
I'm sorry, could you go over again, just real briefly, how you pick those 4 over all the other intersections in the region?
Sure. So we developed so we identified those 72 interchanges. We first identified a general set of criteria. So traffic congestion, safety, environment, and demographics. Within those categories, we had several sub-criteria in each one. So for example, fatal crashes, serious injury crashes, 20-year historical traffic volume increase. So those are some examples. And then we ran those through our GIS. Thank you. Yes, ran those through a model that we developed, GIS model, and basically ranked all the 72 based on those criteria, which we had weighted safety, I think, like 42%, and some things. We have more details I can make available. We got those down to a list of about 15. And then through our discussions with TxDOT and the cities, kind of depending on, like, for instance, 45 North and I-35 was our number 1, but since TxDOT has kind of plans in that for that interchange in the near to medium term, we kind of concentrated elsewhere. So that's kind of part of the way we pared down that list, that kind of top 15 to the 4.
Yeah, basically within that list of top 15, that we continue with concept development on 4 locations that didn't already have some sort of active project development occurring.
Could you share the rankings, I guess, in your report? You have a report someplace that'll have the rankings in the backup data?
Yes, sir. We can share that methodology document with you.
Yeah, if you would just send that out to the members, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Now we'll move to item 8. Oh, Charlie.
All
Yeah,
right.
there we go.
No problem. So what is the next step actually for the bottleneck study? Are we going to get a draft to look at before we make a recommendation? Or are we going to be asked for recommendation? What's the process for the TAC?
That's a good question, Charlie. I don't believe we are asking for a recommendation. We're going to present the results to the board. Now, Ashby, do you think that we will be asking for adoption of that from the board?
Yeah, so Charlie, probably once we get everything finalized here, we come back to TAC again. And then ask for a recommendation and go to the board and ask the board to accept the study.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, maybe third time's a charm. We'll go to item 8 now. Discussion on Breaker Lane North funding and scope change. Ryan.
Thank you, Emily. So this item is the Breaker Lane North project that we discussed at the policy board. You can go to the next slide. We discussed this at the policy board last month, and they requested we bring it back to you all for discussion to talk about the various options that are available for the board to take action on. So just to give you a quick overview, the Breaker Lane North project is one of our older projects. It was awarded in December 2011 to both Travis County and the City of Austin. And the award was for approximately just over $1 million between the two awards to take the Breaker Lane North section to 100% design. And it's currently under discussion right now to determine the appropriate path forward. There have been some changes that have impacted the original scope's feasibility. So the original scope was for 100% design at county standards. So one of the things that occurred over the last 15 years is that the City of Austin annexed over 75% of the project limits. And so now the project's at 30% design currently, and in discussions with both TxDOT, City of Austin, and Travis County, we wanted to determine a path forward regarding the design to county standards. But because of the annexation, the logical conclusion is that the City of Austin would take the project development, the responsibility for the project development after design was completed. Because of that, the county design standards were no longer determined to be appropriate for the design. And so the city is requested that we design it to the city standards, since they would logically take over the project development after conclusion of this phase of the project. And so to do that, though, we do have to take this back to the policy board for a couple of reasons. If we go to the next slide. There are basically 4 options here. So the current decision between the City of Austin and Travis County is that they're requesting a scope change. Instead of doing 100% design standards at county standards, we would do 60% design at City of Austin standards, which is option A on the list to your left. This is the maximum design achievable with the current funding available. This is because the City of Austin standards are far more stringent than the county standards and more expensive to design for. And so if we switch to City of Austin standards, 60% is the maximum they could achieve under the $1 million original funding. So again, that is a scope change. So any scope changes have to be approved by the policy board. And so the options are the first option, which is option A, approve the scope change to 60% at county or at city design standards, excuse me. Option B is approve the scope change to 30% at county design standards, which is where the project currently sits. If option B is approved, we basically close out the project at 30% design where it sits today, and the project is considered complete at that point. Option C is that there's no approved scope change, and that the Travis County is required to take the produce 100% plans at the county design standards. Then option D is project cancellation. That differs from option B because option D is basically any funding that has been spent to date, which is about half the project cost. About $500,000 has been spent on this project to date to get it to 30% design. If we cancel the project, then that funding that has been spent gets reimbursed to CAMPO. So Travis County has to reimburse CAMPO to the tune of $500,000 or TxDOT through the advanced funding agreement. So these are the 4 options available to us. We did ask for a firm schedule from Travis County and the City of Austin. And City of Austin, Director Mendoza, who's on the call here today, provided a letter of support. I think one thing that was important for a recommendation to the policy board is ensuring that if we continue to invest in this project, that the City of Austin would continue its development and it wouldn't sit on the shelf. So that was one of the stipulations we had. And then there was discussion at the policy board meeting, and that I believe board members asked City of Austin council members to go back to discuss staff to talk about a council commitment to this project, but that's kind of where we left it off. And so wanted to bring it back as well to the technical advisory committee at the request of the board to see if y'all had any thoughts on the best approach for this project. And then with that, I'll take any questions and hand it over to Travis County and State of Austin as well if they want to jump in on that as well. So.
Richard or Charlie, y'all have thoughts
Yeah.
before we take questions?
Yeah, no, just real quick. Thank you for that, Ryan. That was really good background on this very challenging project. And so, you know, we here at the City of Austin, we definitely want to see this project built through. You know, we've got other sections of Breaker Lane that we have under construction as part of our former mobility bond programs. We've also been working very heavy with the community to get this done. And so, you know, over time, things have transpired. We did annex significant portions of this roadway. I want to thank Travis County for being a very good, willing partner in a lot of these deliberations thus far, so we can salvage this much needed project. You know, in terms of a council commitment, I do intend to put this project in my unfunded CIP for City of Austin, and it would be a candidate for future considerations if we have another capital bond program. We don't know if we're going to have one this year or it'll be in 28. That's still under deliberations. And we would also look for, I would also look for resources to take it to 100% design so that it would be a ready candidate for future calls for federal funding. So just quickly, just want to thank Travis County for their partnership on this. You know, this got delayed with the 35 deferred. It was one of the deferred projects from the I-35 funding a few years ago. And really just am asking the rest of the TAC today for their support on this option A.
Thanks, Richard. And Mike, you have a comment or question?
Yeah, thank you. And I think you mostly answered this, but I wanted to confirm. So the commitment from the City of Austin, if we were to support, allocating the funding for 60% design to COA standards, the commitment from the city, is there a commitment to finish out 100% design? I know you mentioned, getting full funding for the project, potentially get another, in the CIP and potentially whenever, another bond program happens potentially, but to get it to 100%, is there a stronger commitment from the city to do that?
Thank you for the question, Mike. And so I can only speak for my department right now. You have my commitment to seek out every available resource, maybe scraping up residual funds from other projects to complete this design to 100%.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bob? Do you have a question or comment? You're muted if you're talking.
I said, I'm sorry, do
you
you
go.
need a motion?
No, this is a discussion item, so we don't
Okay.
need a motion today.
When are you coming back, or are you going straight to the PAC?
So we're taking this back to the policy board in April.
Okay.
Just come back to the TAC in March for action.
That's really kind of,
Well, this is financial item, stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah, so. Yeah, we were asked by the board to talk to y'all about this and get your reactions to it. I guess technically because it's financial, you don't need to approve it, but I think they're looking for input.
I was going to say that Williamson County is interested in seeing the project go forward. We appreciate the hard work that Travis County and the city have put in to date and support their efforts. And I think it would be tragic to cancel the project and try to recoup money. That puts the county Travis County in an untenable position. So we support going forward with A.
Any preference on which option, Bob?
He said A.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You're good. Yeah, option A, I believe that's what he said. Michelle, you have a question or comment?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I think just providing my support in addition to everyone else's. Richard, thanks for working with the public works staff. The staff there has developed a detailed schedule to get, upon approval, to get the design to 60%. And so we have that ready and we're ready to go whenever the board makes its decision. So we are committed.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Brian?
Just following up on Mike's question, just to be crystal clear. So there is no funding to take it to 100% design currently or to actually build the project. Is that correct, Mr. Mendoza?
Yes, there's no identified funding to take it to 100%. We're only funded up through 60. I've only committed today to seek out additional funding to get it to 100%.
Okay. Any other questions or thoughts on this item?
So I just want to make sure I understand.
Okay.
So of the remainder of the original amount, the 400 and some odd thousand is going to be enough to get to 60%. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the answer to that question is yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
At City of Austin standards, yeah. So,
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the county is committing to, 60% with current funding to City of Austin standards.
Okay.
Okay. Ashby, do you have what you need to take back to the board?
I believe you.
Okay. Any other?
We're going to say they agree and option A.
Seems like option A. Yeah. Brian, you have another thought or
I
question?
just have another question.
Yep.
I don't recall seeing it on here, but is there a schedule for the progress and completion that's attached to the staff report somewhere?
Yeah, it should be in
Like
the background paper.
What's the plan?
The plan to complete design.
Oh,
The plan to get to 60%.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a detailed schedule. It's on page 42 of the attachments. And basically it's 6 months from time of approval. Our Public Works Department would work through the design process with City of Austin, make sure checking in and making sure that it is where they need it to be, and then ultimately turning over to the city. The goal is 6 months after we get the okay to move forward.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? All right, not seeing any. I'm sorry, Ryan.
I was just saying, thank you for the feedback.
Of course.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
Okay. We'll go to item 9, which is update on the 2028-2031 call for projects. Ryan.
Thank you. And again, this is more of a standing item, and if you watched the board meeting last month or earlier this month, I guess, it's probably pretty much the same, but did want to give everyone an update on where we are in the project call process. As everyone's probably familiar, we closed the process on January 30th, 2026. We are now knee deep into the project evaluation process. So we're doing the readiness assessment evaluation as concurrent with the benefit evaluation. We're basically on an 8-week sprint cycle to get everything ready, and then we'll be bringing all the information back to the TAC on April 27th, and then to the policy board for information on May 11th, and then back for a recommendation on the process on May 25th, and then still targeting the June 8th, 2026 Transportation Policy Board meeting. So just to, if you'll go to the next slide, just to give you all a quick update on what we received. We did receive over 123, we did receive 123 applications. And this is the breakdown by category on the left-hand side. The majority of the projects we did receive are roadway. projects. We with 65 for ITS. We did receive 5 transit projects, 16 active transportation, 1 TDM program request, 31 planning studies, as well as another category. And then by phase, again, we have the 33 in the planning phase, 29 in the engineering and environmental, and then 61 in construction. And on this slide just gives you a breakdown. So we did receive over $1 billion worth of funding requests. And I believe that, I think we had, what, 17, 18 sponsors. And so just to kind of give you all an update of where we are there. And as far as our review process is going, we have basically 3 independent reviews doing readiness, 3 independent reviewers doing readiness on each application, and then 3 independent reviewers doing the benefit evaluation. We also have our modeling team doing the modeling concurrently so that we can beat that 8-week schedule. So we are deep into that, and that's really just a high level update. If anybody has any questions about the review process or how that's going or anything like that, please let me know. But just wanted to provide you an update of where we are. And we'll definitely be providing an update in the next TAC meeting as we go through the review process, if there are any major updates there. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. Anyone have any questions or comments to share on this item? Okay, not seeing any hands. Okay, we'll go to item 10, briefing on integrated infrastructure consortium concept. Ashby.
Thank you. So, before I get too far into this, this is just an idea at this point. Nothing committed to on anybody's part. I have talked to the board about this at the board meeting that was earlier this month. And I also want to state on the front end, I'm not looking to take over anybody's work. What this concept, as I get into it, is talking about is any projects funded by the CAMPO Transportation Policy Board. It's not trying to take over anybody's project. So next slide, please. So you can keep going. Y'all know we're growing. And y'all know we got lots of jobs. So, when we look at our project progress, so going from planning through to construction and then open the traffic, the 2 biggest things that we see as risk factors are right-of-way acquisition and utility adjustments. So, and you can see some of the issues here. These are not new things to y'all about the challenges we're looking at as far as the region is concerned. So there's not a whole lot that, potentially CAMPO can do to help you with the right-of-way acquisition unless the policy gets changed at the board about not paying the right-of-way. But we figured on the utility adjustment, which ends up being a bigger issue for us and also a big issue for all of you as well, that perhaps there is something we, CAMPO, can do to help with the information that we're already collecting that will facilitate getting utilities done in a more expeditious fashion that would therefore save time and hopefully save money as well. The goal here ultimately of this idea is to help get projects through construction. And that's it. So next slide. So we were thinking for the projects that are funded by the board, you keep going. So the projects that are funded by the board that we would look at things like water lines, power lines, also gas, broadband, other utilities that could be in the quarter. And a couple things. One, if we can help coordinate what's existing there by providing information that we're already collecting on the progress of projects as they move through the system, hopefully giving utilities enough heads up time that they can start to get resources ready, and prevent some of the slowdown as we go through the process. The other part, if we or the utility has a gap in a line where they'd like to put in additional utilities as the right of way is open, that perhaps a duct bank could be put in, and then the utilities would certainly, pay for a fee and have access to that duct bank going forward. But we feel like with the growth that we're having, trying to do as much as we can while we've got utilities the right of way open is a good thing. And then one of my pet peeves I've had since I was in Houston is I hate to see new pavement cut with utility cuts after the pavement just went in. I hate seeing that. Eventually you get punch outs because you have to go back and cut something again that should have been coordinated on the front end. And sometimes the utility cut is like 2 or 3 weeks after the pavement got put in. So we would try to help with that as well. We're also looking at on the broadband side, trying to do a study where we look at the entire region and figure out where we need trunk lines, where we don't have things today. We're working with LCRA on part of that right now. For those trunk lines, if we were working on a project where there's a gap, we would try to facilitate having dark fiber put in while we got the right of way open. So to back up a little bit, last March, when I first started thinking through some of this, along with a couple of the CAMPO board members, we decided to go have a conversation with LCRA about it and see what reaction we got out of LCRA, since they cover both power and water. We thought they might be a good sort of test subject. And so we had a visit with Phil Wilson and his senior staff there. As it turns out, Phil Wilson had a similar idea that he'd given a presentation on 2 weeks prior. And he thought I had been in the meeting when he gave the presentation, and I was not. And nobody from CAMPO was there either. LCRA was supportive of the idea since last March. They have gone and spoken with the other 2 river authorities in the region. They've also spoken to Austin Energy, Pedernales Electric, Encore, and Bluebonnet. And from what they told me, all show strong interest in the concept. They've also talked to some of the local governments. I think they said they talked to Judge Brown, and I thought they said they talked to Judge Snell. Well, it might have been Commissioner Bowles. I can't remember which one they talked to. They've also spoken to AT&T and I believe Spectrum and Atmos. So there's some support for the idea. When we presented it at board, it was a generally positive idea. We did have at least one request to run this past TAC and see what TAC thought. At this point, like I said, this is just a concept. We're still trying to figure out what this would look like and how it might work if it went forward. We did have at the board meeting a couple of weeks ago, Hondo Powell, who is Phil Wilson's chief of staff at LCRA, and Hondo spoke some to LCRA's interest in this. What we're looking at potentially as the next step is to have a meeting where we bring all the potential partners in and we talk about, because I've got my ideas about what I think this is, and so does LCRA. But if this is going to be a customer-driven sort of effort, then we need to bring in utility providers along with local governments and talk about what would be helpful to you going forward. And then see can we give this a chance to stand it up in some sort of way. But there's no timeline. At this point, I'm hoping we can have what I'll call the Y'all Come meeting by June of this year. August at the latest. And then, you know, depending on how that conversation goes, go back to the board and see what the board says. I know this is not a small thing, and it probably is not a cheap thing either. The conversation I had initially with LCRA was we would ask the utilities to basically pay an annual fee to have access to the dashboard and databases and other information we would tend to do. Also, as part of this, because we will be going out and talking and figuring out where we have right of way and how much right of way, and also what utilities are in the right of way. We would use the digital twin platform that we're already developing as part of another project, and use the digital twin as an asset management tool. So we would all start to have a better sense of what is where and how much of it do we have. So next slide here, I think we've gotten through. Yep. Yeah. So you can see here what we see as expected outcomes if this gets off the ground. But yeah, I'll just sort of stop and ask for input. And like I said, there's no timeline. It's an idea at this point.
Okay.
So Ashby, if I understand
Yep.
this properly, this is more than just, sorry, I guess I should have raised my hand. Sorry about
You're
that.
good, Brian. Go ahead.
This is more than just coordinating to make sure they get out of the way on existing projects. It sounds like you're talking about doing some advanced infrastructure planning from the utility side, even to make sure that they're getting what they need in advance of projects. And is CAMPO planning on funding some of that activity?
I don't know the answer to that. So, but yeah, the answer is yes. We're trying to do some advanced planning work that, one, helps the utilities get ready, and two, helps us on the front end of this, because we would get a better sense of what's there and what to expect earlier in the process.
Michelle, do you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering how this relates to the construction project partnership. Is it just a similar sort of effort, but on the design side?
Kind of, Michelle. The two things, to me, the construction partnership program is more about traffic
Mhm.
than it is about, yeah. And this would not be about that. It would really be about utility adjustments.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting. I'd like to know more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle. Mike?
Yeah, so I love the concept. I think having better coordination with utilities and trying to do some advanced planning to help deliver projects is a great idea, but this is a big effort and a lot to bite off. I would say, just in my micro experience working with utilities, I think the perspectives are typically, they come from different perspectives on what they're trying to do from the utility standpoint. So, what I would recommend is if we're interested in moving forward, and if the policy board is interested in moving forward, strongly recommend bringing someone on to facilitate and focus this effort on kind of what would be our top priorities to get out of it across the utilities and CAMPO and the different entities involved, agencies involved. It's a big effort. It's a lot to bite off.
Yeah, and I appreciate the feedback, Mike. But yeah, we will definitely be bringing, well, Right now, part of our GEC team has experience in this area. So we're relying on them to help with this right now. And then, so if this ends up being a thing, either part of the scope of work for the next GEC for CAMPO would have this in the scope, or we would hire a consulting firm to help with it.
Okay. Thank you for that, Ashby. Richard?
Yeah, so Ashby, this is a great initiative. I agree with Mike. You know, we're all mostly mostly career public servants here, and then the public looks at our construction projects. They don't always delineate between the city and the state or the county. They just know that it's disruptive, and to the degree that we can do better planning coordination up front and these utility adjustments don't throw a late hiccup, we obviously can get done and get out of their way faster. And I understand that we got to get a little better sense of urgency and get these improvements out to our community quicker than we have in the past. The big challenge, it gets complicated, as you know, in really dense urban environments. You know, we're finding that out right now, trying to build a light rail line right through our downtown city of Austin. And there must be 18 different users in that right of way trying, it's like herding cats. So you've got our support, and we'll be rooting for you, Ashby. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
Bob?
I think it's actually it's mom and apple pie. I mean, those of us that all of us build things and sounds great, but I am extraordinarily concerned about going down a rabbit hole and spending a lot of money on something that doesn't have realistic defined goals. And I think we really need to focus on having a better understanding and specific goals of what it is we're really going to do. I know that the city spends an incredible amount of time and energy holding coordination meetings with their utilities on their projects, and I think Travis County does. I know Williamson County does for our bond projects. We're all spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on utility relocation costs or utility coordination efforts, and not even the utility relocation costs, but just on the coordination efforts. The utilities don't know where their lines are. So I almost started laughing. I'm sorry when you said you were going to start drawing GIS models of the right of way and say where the lines are, because I'll be honest with you, nobody knows. I mean, just to be realistic about what we're talking about here. And I think the folks that are trying to build a light rail will probably be able to testify to that also. But I think at a 60,000 foot level, boy, more coordination is always good. And anything we can do to move the projects along is great. But before CAMPO starts going down a different path and adding utilities to its basket, I might say I sure wish CAMPO maybe take those dollars and spend it on transportation planning rather than utility coordination at this point, and let the locals continue to do the utility coordination. Because you're talking about huge amounts of money to end up with products that are really going to be of value. Just food for thought. I'd like to talk to you some more.
Okay, yeah, let's sit down.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Sean?
Yeah, my experience with these projects at CAMPO funding, our biggest struggle is not so much utility, it's the railroad coordination and the ability to use CAMPO funds to pay for that effort. So I'd say if you're going to go down this road, let's add that to the list. How can we use CAMPO funds to pay UPR? Because what I've seen, and then this might be getting in the weeds here, that because we don't go through the RFQ, we can't pay UPR's consultant for that work. And then if you bid it out with the contractors, we're looking at two things at the city where we actually have a contract with UP directly to pay for their flagging operations so we can control those costs as opposed to putting in the contractor's bid. So maybe some innovative ideas, if you will, how to coordinate the UP and use this federal funding for those efforts.
Okay. So yeah, UP wasn't part of what I was thinking. UP is UP. That's they're a whole separate thing into themselves. But I hear you. And I agree that better coordination with UP is a very useful thing.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
This is Will. I have a question for Ashby.
Go ahead. Mhm.
Ashby, would you foresee that this would be done that would replace typical utility relocation processes on individual products and projects?
No, it would seem more of an assistance than a replacement.
So the government would still carry the cost of utility relocations that they typically do in project development. This would perhaps assist in that effort.
Yes, well, and unless the board changes this policy about utility adjustments, that's where we are.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Will. Any other comments, questions? Okay, thanks for bringing that forward, Ashby. We'll move to item 11, a report on transportation planning activities.
Here, yes. Yes, just wanted to report that on January 12th, we had the first meeting in over 2 years of the subcommittee dedicated to transportation demand management. At that meeting, CAMPO staff gave a brief update on various activities that we've been doing, including the present status of the school pool program, and also a study that we're doing to identify potential park and ride locations to aid travelers for CapEx construction, basically to find places where they can park and find other carpool partners. And also, TxDOT through Atkins Realis gave a presentation on the construction partnership program. The next meeting is scheduled for April 20th, and that's it. That's all we have for planning activities.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Narev. All right, then we'll move to item 12, which are chair announcements. So everyone notes that the March 9th policy board meeting has been canceled, and their next meeting is going to happen on April 13th. And then our next meeting will be March 23rd. It was good to see you all, and we'll see you in a month. Meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.